immediately I was like, whose contract is this? I was like, is this ChatGPT? And they were like, yeah, partly. And I was like, this
Partly.
has to, yeah.
At least they
Like,
took part
yeah,
credit into maybe editing it
it's
slightly.
just you have like before this touches anybody else's hands, you have to. What's the point? Because no matter, like, I get it, you want to get signatures as quickly as possible, but now you're going to have to get a whole new contract in place to get signed. So I
Oh,
get it.
yeah.
Like, hey, let's get executed, and then after we're executed, let's change things. I've done similar things before, but like there's just do it the right way. Treat this like a business. Transaction coordinator
Mhm,
is a cost of doing business, especially on the
mhm.
subject to side. You might not need one on cash. You're probably only doing 1 to 3 deals a month at most. And if they're cash, they're simple. You don't need a transaction coordinator. But on subject to or creative, dude, get a I don't understand why we're still even talking about that. And I said it like 5 times the other day, and then there was somebody in there like, "I'll give you mine," and I was like, "Are you helping anybody by doing that though? Sure, you can do whatever you want. It's your contract, but are you really helping in that
I saw
scenario?"
that in the chat. I saw that in the chat.
Yeah, dude. It's just like, what
Uh,
the fuck are you doing here then? Like, it makes me question, is this even worth talking about? And do like I don't understand. So
uh,
now
yeah,
what I get from that is we're just exposing the idea of subject to people, and they're not
yeah.
listening to anything else that we say about it. They just now are like, oh, what? It's just like anything else. Oh, wow, I can do this for zero money down and da 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 da, and all I need is this, and I can make 15. Like, they're not listening to all the other things that we've said about it. So it's like, what's the point of even coming up here and talking about it?
I think you've
I'd
had
rather
some
Just
just
people.
for the exact reason that
I'd
we're
rather
doing
just keep
so
it to
for the
myself.
education
I think
Good
you've
morning,
had
gentlemen.
you've had
Morning, good
some
morning.
people. Hey, John. You've had some people take it to heart though, and kind of learn the process. It's tough in this space, right? Real estate's kind of like the Wild West, right? You can have all sorts of players from all sorts of different backgrounds and all sorts of different motivation levels to like actually execute. That's something that makes me
Listen,
bang my head against the wall
everybody
sometimes.
wants to be successful. Everybody
Yeah,
wants
I think
their
that's the
shot in the
frustrating part is because
spotlight,
I've
and
never been in a position where I'll get up here and talk about creative and be like, anybody can do this. Just do this and you could make 10 grand doing like, I'll never be that guy. I want you to
right.
No,
understand
But
that when we
everybody
start talking
wishes,
creative, this is
everybody
an
wants to be
advanced
you,
purchase strategy with real life consequences and events during the
right?
transaction and post closing. And if you guys are just looking at this for the check and you're putting it on bullshit contracts and assigning that, and sure, maybe your end buyer has no idea either, and you assign some bullshit chat GPT contract to them, and maybe you get lucky and the title company has no idea either and they accept that. Just because people are accepting it doesn't mean that it's the right thing to do. And
Yeah,
eventually, when that deal closes, and if all of your bullshit contracts and everything make it through the finish line and it closes, and something happens after that closing, and you don't have the proper things in place, you were a part of that deal. What do you think is going to happen?
this is
And you're
though.
not
I
going to have
mean,
any
you
explanation. You're not
really
going to have anything
care.
to lean on in that scenario because you didn't do it the right way.
You really care. I
Because
mean,
you
you
did,
really care.
again, it's so simple. Just get a transaction coordinator. It's a cost of doing business. It might cost you 400 or 500 bucks up front, and then the buyer will reimburse you at closing. And the transaction coordinator will take care of everything, all of your documentations, all the disclosures, all the additional necessary documents that are needed to be signed and notarized during that transaction to cover everybody's asses. They will make sure that that deal gets to the closing table. They'll make sure they communicate with title. If there's a promissory note that needs to be created, they will create that as well. They will do everything for you. And you can learn during that process. And then when the deal is done, you'll have access to your subject to purchase agreement. But to be doing this by yourself is, I just, again, for no reason.
But
yeah,
that's across
No
the
reason
board,
to
though.
not
That's
include a
across the
transaction.
board,
I'm
though.
not saying you need one. If you're only doing 3 deals a month or less, you're not going to need a transaction coordinator necessarily forever, but you got to do it at least in the beginning to understand what these documents are, what is needed. So that way, if you're ever doing one in the future without a transaction coordinator, you at least know when you're looking at those closing documents, like, oh, hold on, we need this and we need that, or we need, you'll know what you're looking at.
man, I just like having a TC period,
Dude,
and
it's yes.
regardless of deal volume, because all it's doing is freeing up your time to go make more money.
Yes.
Like, why be penny wise and pound foolish, right? Like, you have someone doing all the shit that most people hate. Like, I hate drafting the contract up, looking over it 4 times to make sure I didn't get ADD and like watch a YouTube video somewhere in between and screw up an entry on my contract. Like, someone else is doing that for me. I just have to give it a once over or twice over when it gets sent over to me for review, and then I'm back on doing the things I like, which is talking to people and working deals. Like, unless you like getting into the weeds on the stuff that doesn't make you money, I'd rather be focused on the income producing activity portion of the business,
Well, dude, and also look at, I mean, a good chunk of the chat on a daily basis respectfully is asking, first level type of questions about like contracts and where does this signature go, or what happens when I send it to the title company. And if you're asking yourself those questions and you're locking up deals, you should absolutely have a transaction coordinator in place. Just at least to let them be, you're paying them to walk you through the process, the official process in the correct fashion as well. Like, here's how we're going to do the contract. Here's how we send it out. Here's what's going to happen next. You can follow them along during that process. And again, it's a buyer's expense. So you're learning on someone else's dime when that buyer buys that deal. There's a transaction coordinator company too that I was working with for a little bit where they charge monthly. But if you break it down in terms of monthly, the total cost was like $300 per file, and they give you the ability to charge whatever you want. So the average transaction coordinator costs, let's just say $750 to $1,500, depending on the complexity. If your cost is only $300 per file, you could charge $1,000 when you get something under. You can actually make money using their system. So it could actually be a profit center for you if you do it that way, or you just get a once-off transaction coordinator who charges $1,000. They'll charge you $500 up front, and then at closing, the buyer pays $1,000. You get reimbursed your $500. All good.
I think this goes back to what me and Paul were talking about before you came in.
That conversation the other night fired me up because I was just like,
I agree with you.
What are we doing here?
I agree with you on everything.
And like Paul said, there are absolutely people here that are not that I'm teaching anything, right? But they're listening and they've taken things into consideration and they're doing things the right way. But then it just gets frustrating when you see people that just won't, or they've been there listening the entire time and they're still doing it that way. And it's like, what's the point of talking about it then? I'd rather just
because of the people that you're reaching. Because of the people,
I mean, I don't know. I have much better things to be doing than sitting up here talking about this on a daily basis.
Because of the people that you're reaching,
they're just going to do their own thing. Because again, it's only going to fuck me, because people are going to keep doing it the wrong way, and then more regulations are going to be in place. Like, it's only like, I'm not saying
making
this
an impact.
Out of frustration because no one's listening to me, and I'm trying to teach you. Like, no, it's because I'm doing this business too, and you guys are going to fuck me.
Here's the thing.
You're making a positive impact, Matt.
Yeah,
you are.
Here's the thing.
People that are listening.
Yeah, there's a ton of, with or without you, there's still a ton of people out there marketing kind of bullshit.
Talking about everything.
Yeah, and you're kind of like a bastion of hope for the sub 2 sector, right? Where it's like, hey, here is sub 2. It is a way to get into real estate, but also here's the things you actually need to do, right? Like, and I feel like that's true even on the brokerage side, right? Like, how many times do people just think that it's just getting a license and then you're good and you're a millionaire, And I love talking about the challenges of representing a client on the brokerage side and what it entails and how hard it can actually be. So I think it's good that you're the voice of truth in sub 2. It's frustrating because you're still gonna have bozos try and do it without really knowing what they're doing. But man, I'd rather have you than not, because it just means more people are gonna do the dumb shit.
You can't stop. You can't stop. You have to keep talking.
I just want to say this too, Matt. Because of you, I've been able to actually close the sub 2 deal. And because of what you teach and the way that you tell people to, diagnose the problem and work with somebody who actively knows how to do these types of deals, there's not going to just be people like me. There's going to be more people like me that actually have those calls, put the ego to the side, that don't know how to form those contracts or handle those conversations or even know anything about that type of process, and bring you those deals. And I hope that there are more people in here that are listening that realize that, hey, I'm not going to be the person that's going to have it all figured out to be able to help this seller. And you know what, maybe I can't get all of this deal because I don't know how to even do this, but I'd like to at least help this person and get paid in the process and learn a little bit along the way.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I'm not going anywhere. It's just that, and the problem is, just like Paul was kind of touching on, is like, unfortunately, there's bad. It's not even bad. It's just, it's marketing, right? People are trying to make money off of people. So market it in a way that makes it as accessible as possible, because that's the marketing strategy, right? The easier I make this seem, the more that you'll be inclined to sign up and pay me for whatever I'm offering. So of course I want to make it as simple as possible. If I make it sound hard, you're going to be like, oh, I don't want to do that. I want to do the easy stuff. So I get it. The problem is, as this gets more popular, and it's gotten crazy popular over the last 2 to 3 years, you start getting all of these sub people, and that's not even a play on words. Like literally there's, the top 1 or 2 people that started this, and then all of the people that now know about it are starting their own courses and their own marketing and everything else. And those people, some of them are idiots, dude. There's that one kid that I posted his video in here a couple of times where he's like sitting on the hood of his purple Lamborghini in front of the supposed building he bought through creative finance. And it's just like crazy, like what these people are marketing and trying to put out there. And I don't know, man. It's just, again, I get it's a marketing ploy. And the unfortunate part is, a person will do one deal and then just start marketing their course or whatever they're trying to sell. And their goal is to make it seem as easy as possible. And I'm not saying it's not easy, because it can be, but you got to know all the other shit, and bare minimum, learn how to do it the right way. And John, you're a great testament to that, where like your light bulb went off that one morning in the live stream, and then ever since then, you've been interested in it, but in doing it the right way. You understand the bad parts of it or what could go wrong, and you want to do it the right way. So that's always like, I'd like to think that there's more of you than the other way, that there's people that want to do this and they want to do it the right way, and they're willing to do that extra 1 or 2 steps to do it the right way, as opposed to the other people that want to just do it as quickly as possible, get something signed no matter what it is, and then just push it through, and hopefully it gets done just so they can make the check. So,
well, how would you feel about marketing, but marketing for you, man? I think we need to get more people in here to hear what you have to say. Like, there are a lot of phonies. I saw one the other day, and it kind of got me mad, because I only downloaded Instagram over the weekend to set up that stuff, for REI Rev, posting the content. But I saw that video from that individual, and it's like, oh, well, I'm going to show you exactly how we give full price offers on properties that are sitting over 100 days on market. Yeah. And I saw that video, and I mean, I was just like, wow, that doesn't even really make sense in all these cases, but no. He's convinced people that it's possible, and he's doing it at a massive scale. So I think it's an injustice for everybody that sees that video and doesn't see something contradicting to that video, something that really does show them the truth. And I think that the truth is REI Rev. I think that the truth is people like you, Matt, people like Dan, people like Paul, that come up here every single day and talk about what really happens and what you really need to do to be successful in this business.
Yeah. It's just not.
I think you gotta have the people like you, Matt, talking.
No, and I was gonna say, I think Paul's a good testament too, because Paul has experience with creative and commercial and all of those things, and still, like, every time I'll reply to somebody, like, he's always pushing. There's just a right way. I don't know. Sometimes there's a gray line, I guess, where there could be a couple right ways to do it and a couple wrong ways to do it. But I always see Paul pushing towards doing it the right way and taking those extra 1 or 2 steps. And I feel like all of the, whatever you want to call it, the community leaders in here, which is, me, John, Dan, Paul, Bob, AB, any of us in here that you see on a daily basis, I truly feel like I always see all of us pushing to do what's right in that transaction. I've never really seen anybody in this community, like out of us, ever push for something that was the wrong way, just to get it done quickly or get to the check quicker or anything along those lines. So again, I do feel like that is a testament to us and to the community and to, you know, us being up here every day talking to each other, that people are learning and learning to do it the right way. Where if you learn from a marketing standpoint, where like, hey, I saw this guy's ad on Instagram like you did. Imagine if you didn't know anything about it and you just saw that ad. Well, now your first experience and introduction to it is this marketing ploy about how easy it is. Let me show you how to do it. And I don't know what's being taught there. I just see some of the outcomes of some of the people that have gone through those marketing and have paid for mentorship, whatever it is. And I see them on the back end and they still don't know what they're doing and they're still doing it wrong. And so I don't know what's being taught. And I feel like some of it is just marketing and to get dollars, and the right things still aren't being taught because it's just too big of a scale, I think.
Yeah. And I mean, you have the challenges too, right? Of like when you get to that type of scale, you know, ideally with that type of structure, you're hoping that the deals get funneled to someone who can kind of mentor a transaction, you know, and there's collaboration taking place. But sometimes I feel like people do kind of the short term type of view that you were mentioning, where they just go quick and they say, well, I have all the contracts I need right here. I should be good. Yeah. And that's such a challenge. Little aside, when I first started the brokerage side of business, this is going to sound stupid, but I initially compared my business to that of a really good handyman, right? And so the one thing I noticed about a good handyman fixing houses and shit, that like I needed stuff repaired, all the good handyman, they weren't necessarily on Google. They were just so good at their fucking jobs that they had enough business without the marketing aspect. And I was like, man, if I do this business right, and I know everything that I possibly can about doing the business right, I feel like the business will ultimately come because I'm not screwing things up. The people I'm interacting with have a positive experience at the end of the day, and the business will just start to flow. Obviously, when I'm, you know, more confident in mastering the skills, I can scale out that marketing effort to go get more stuff. But really the focus was, hey, let's do this right first. Let's do it right. Sure, it's not going to be as fast as I want it to be, but if I'm doing it right, I'll be able to keep doing it. and that's the big challenge I see with a lot of the fly-by-night stuff. It's just a short-term check and then you're done. You know, no one wants to work with you again. Your name, this industry's not as big as people like think it is, right? You see the same names popping up in certain markets, especially like
not the people that are doing it. Not the people that are doing it.
I mean,
it is massive in terms
have
of
people.
Like
I'll never call them out by name, and it's not even. It's probably the name that I'm thinking of isn't even the name that everyone else is thinking of. And I've had his people reach out to me and say, "Hey, I so and so's team," like basically touting this kid as like he's the next one, like he's a huge buyer and blah blah. And I got sucked into watching a couple of his YouTube videos where he was doing live seller and agent calls, and a couple of the objections that he got in the video, he didn't answer them correctly and he got stumped in a way. And I was like, this is, again, it's crazy to me. I was like, this is who people, you know, I've seen this kid's name get tossed around like he's a big shot, like he's the guy in this specific market, a very, very large market. And even when his team members reach out, they speak of him like he's the guy. And I watch his videos and I was like, I don't know, man, I can't believe people are even listening to this kid. It's crazy to me, but you know, I guess I can only do what I can do.
With enough ad spend, anyone will listen to you.
Yeah, that's yeah.
Yeah.
Someone will eventually, right? Like in a room of 1,000 people, one person might listen to you if you get enough people in a room.
You see, you all got it wrong. John got it wrong too. But John's is yeah. Oh, wow. That's a bad one though too. That's a bad one too.
I think the bottom line.
Okay, so you guys all, Dan said somebody that's wrong. You said somebody that's wrong. That just and my answer is somebody completely different. So that just shows you, just off of that, how many people
I knew it
that all came to your mind with that.
Well,
I knew it
now add another 20
I was
to
just
that.
joking.
Why don't we add REI Rev to the mix? The question is, how is it that we can be an authority beyond Discord, right?
I-
Because we've got Discord,
I-
and we're now starting to, put the content out on YouTube. We're going to get it chopped up and put out. But maybe we really need to think about, seeing if there's anybody in the community that would want to contribute, towards putting some ads together and running some ads so that people actually see us when they're looking for information about creative finance or wholesale real estate, instead of seeing people that are going to lead them in the wrong direction.
Yeah, why don't we start going on other people's
Yeah,
podcasts
and that's-
as a group?
Let's speak on this.
As a group,
anyone
as
that's-
Everyone
Any-
else sucks.
Yeah.
anyone that's,
No,
anyone that's doing marketing for brand recognition, and maybe Dan's doing some of that now, and the hardest part I feel like is your competition are the ones that are saying how easy this is, right?
Right.
So that funnels people in so much quicker and easier, where if you want to be the person that is like, hey, we're here to teach you the same things, if not more, but this isn't easy, right? It's not a get rich quick. You're going to say all the things that like some people don't want to hear. They want to hear how easy it is.
I
And
think
that's
the
the
truth
easiest way to
speaks.
funnel people in. So
I
I
think
feel
the
like
truth
that's the
speaks,
hardest
though,
part
Matt.
about taking that position of like, I'm going to show you all the tough ways and all the bad shit, and I'm going to show you this, and that it's not a get rich quick and all that's, but then when you do get those people funneled in, those are the people that you want, because those are your more realistic individuals. Those are the people I would want to surround myself with all day, than the people that come in through, wherever else that thought that this was, hey, I've been doing this for 8 days. Why have I not gotten paid yet?
Well, it's
Type
a
people.
You have it, Matt. Like you have like the voice though, and I think that like
my espresso.
you have to understand. Like I understand your
Andy
frustration.
said I do get on
right?
people's live
I've-
teaching wholesale and tell them to join the Discord, and I get muted.
I've done exactly and had the same frustrations that you're having, right? Like they've all heard me have the same
I
frustrations.
saw Andy make
right?
a Facebook story yesterday, the day before, for REI Rev.
Of me. Oh. But I think the bottom line is like
I'm me running now that I got my website up and running. I actually was talking to my wife about it yesterday.
Matt,
the day
hear me?
before. I'm gonna run a Facebook ad. I'm gonna do like
I'm
a
not
green
sure.
screen.
I don't think you can.
Huh?
Can you hear Dan?
I don't think Matt can
You
hear
hear
me. You can't hear me.
No,
Nah, you can't hear you, Dan.
I was like,
Talk.
this dude.
let me refresh.
This dude's been talking over me for like
He's
the
only
past
on one today.
5 minutes. I was like, damn, man, I thought he was just on a roll. I was just letting him run. I was
but-
just letting him like, hey, man, I was just
didn't
like,
even-
I'm gonna let him do his thing. I'm not gonna stop him. Maybe he wants to like run it up today. I mean, I know
Dude,
he's had
no.
his.
Your
Oh,
box was
man.
even turning green for me.
I kept talking, and you just kept like, you would just like bulldoze right over. I was like, hey, man, you know what? If he's gotta go. I was all for it, dude. It was not really a problem. I just thought you were just like,
My
just going
bad.
in. That's
Hey,
no.
when-
I was
when
wondering
does
too, 'cause I
Matt-
kept bringing you into my conversation, and I was like, he's not replying to anything I'm saying.
This is a fun opportunity though. We rarely get Matt on a soapbox in here,
No,
We
that's
get
for
him-
sure. Yeah.
We get him
No,
with
but-
a calculator. Right now he's on a soapbox.
Matt, you really have to understand that. Like I've said the same stuff, right? Like I've had the same frustrations in terms of just like wholesaling and just in general, right? Like, and Paul and I were just talking about that. This has to be a thing now where I had a sales call before I even jumped on today, and I was talking to a guy, and this guy comes in and hey, I know a bunch of people using your system. You know what I mean? They've closed deals off the SMS. You know what I mean? I know Savion. I know this guy. Blah 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 blah. And they've been closing deals off of SMS, and I'm trying to jump on, and I said, hey man, listen, I'm just gonna be real with you. I am not trying to pitch us or turn us into an SMS tool. Like that's not what we are. We're a CRM company. And I was like, do we have mass SMS capabilities? Yes, but here's what you need to understand about SMS and the upcoming regulations. I literally told this guy basically, we started the meeting with, I don't think you're the right customer for us because this is what you're looking for. And he ended the meeting with, he's canceling he's going to Podio to cancel his 3-year contract that he had. He's going to terminate early. He's going to pay them the severance fee, and then he's going to come over to us. But the bottom line is like he got really attracted to the fact that I just told him the truth right in the beginning of the call, and I educated him on everything that's happening. And we talked about a whole bunch of stuff, and here's the bottom line. I understand what your point is, and it can be frustrating. Listen, I'm frustrated as fuck right now dealing with a lot of people. Why can't I do this? Why can't I send this? Why can't I do mass SMS? Wait, what's going to happen? Blah, 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 blah. But my phone, it is blowed up every day. And I have been telling people for the past year, quit sucking on the tit of SMS. You got to get off of it. Eventually, you're going to have to get off it. So you might as well start the transition now. And people have continued to just keep searching for a possibility. And, we've created some opportunity with what we're doing. But the bottom line is that, if you're always going to have people that seek after the information that really, are in a position where they're just looking for what they already trying to get that confirmation bias, right? They're already looking for what they already believe, right? So if you're someone, for instance, who believes that red meat is unhealthy, for instance, you already have that connotation inside of your mind. You're not going to go listen to someone who's telling you that eating red meat is healthy and this is the diet that you need to switch to and all these things. You're just going to go, no, I don't know, you haven't read this study, blah 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 blah, and you're going to go try to search out for someone who agrees with what your beliefs are. It's with anything, honestly, with anything. So I hear what you're saying, and I agree with you. There's always going to be those people, and that's going to be the majority. The majority of people are always going to try to just seek out what they already think that they believe, because they attach to what they hear the first time, right? They take that, they turn it into an ideology, and then they go search and hunt for that person that confirms that ideology. But you are going to have people that need someone who tells them the truth, who says it like it is, and that's what we are supposed to be, right? Like, we're supposed to be the truth in real estate here. And I think that I hear what you're saying. It can be frustrating. I've thought about it several times. Well, why am I even wasting my fucking time with people? They don't even want to listen to what I have to say. Blah, 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 blah. You're wasting your time for those people, like you said, that are here listening to you. You're wasting your time for the 44 people who are in this audience who have not left since we started talking about this topic, who are sitting here listening to what you're saying. And it might not be today. It might not be tomorrow. It might not be a week from now. It might not be a month from now. But eventually, when they finally get into that perspective of wanting to do that deal or wanting to do a subject to or think that they found a seller finance or whatever, they are going to come back to this conversation. And it might not be an opportunity to where they're necessarily going to take in and be able to accept every single thing that you're saying right now. Most of these people who are sitting here are not going to be able to understand and grasp onto every single thing that you're saying right now. But they hear the general concept, they understand the idea. And you've had 44 some people in here who have not left since you started, going on about this. So those people are here. I mean, if they didn't want to listen, they'd be gone. So, they're here because they want to hear the truth. So you're doing it for these people. You're not doing it for the people that are going to sit there and ignore you. Those people that you're talking about who ask those stupid and dumb questions in the chat, they don't even come to any of the live streams. They don't come to any of the calls. They don't interact with anybody. They just pop in for 5 minutes, ask for a contract, then dip out, gone, never see them again. That's who those people are, right? And you don't have to worry about those people. Just don't even let those people get under your skin. Hey, here's what I think you should do. Get a transactions coordinator, and then I just click off, right? I don't even go through and try to have a whole breakdown conversation with them. That's what's pointless, right? Don't waste your time doing that. Like, just tell them, oh, hey, this is what I think you should do. And even if they sit there and try to go back and forth with you or whatever, just drop it. Just don't even sit there and have a back and forth with them, right? Like, I've had a couple people who have tried to have a back and forth with me about stuff that they don't understand in here, and we just drop it. We just drop a conversation. There's no point in going back and forth and arguing this, that, my truth, your truth, blah, 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 blah. No point, right? Like, at the end of the day, I hear what you're saying. It can be frustrating, but just remember that there are people out here who do want to listen. They do respect your time. They do appreciate you. I feel like everybody who's sitting here who comes in these live streams every single day appreciates you. Like, they really value what you're trying to say. And believe it or not, whether you feel like it's a mass effect or not, you're changing the game for each and every one person that comes in and listens to you and has that thought difference, that has that thought perspective. So that's who you're doing it for. You know what I mean? At the end of the day. And, I think you just can't, don't let the people out there that are just, loud, obnoxious, just on social media or whatever, don't let those people get under your skin with what they're putting out there. Because at the end of the day, the stuff that's just blasted out there, that's just all noise, right? It's just all noise. Most people who come in here, who come into this server, who you come into these calls, most of the people who come in here are coming in here because they want to change their lives. Regardless of what the noise is out there in the general chat in here or out on social media or whatever, the people that are in this room, most of the people that come inside of this community that really grasp what we're doing here are here because they would like to change their lives. So don't let the noise of the bullshit out there take your value away from the people that need you.
Yeah.
To not
I
talk,
mean,
to not stop talking.
Yeah, and I just, I just personally figure out where I want to divvy up my time, right? Like, this is something I don't mind talking on because I know we have a lot of consistent viewership. It's the same faces, right? So I know that my words aren't going to fall entirely on deaf ears if I start talking about something, which is good. When it gets in the chat, sometimes here and there I'm a little bit more selective, or I'll screen. I screen a lot of stuff. Usually when I see someone coming,
take care,
huh?
everybody. I take off.
Yeah. I'll like do a quick screen and just make sure that they know what they're talking about. The deal makes sense, whatever. And sometimes I've been disappointed, but we've got a lot of solid membership, so I think stick with it, Matt, because you are kind of like I think here at least that you're definitely a pillar of knowledge and experience, especially on the sub 2 space, and that will drive business to you, I think, and to just everyone else trying to get into the space, right? You're a pretty big font of knowledge on that stuff. I've not seen a lot of people talk about sub 2 creative like you have, in the sense that you break down an amortization schedule for people, like that's pretty rare. And I don't know what the other guys are doing, but you're taking it to that next step for a lot of folks, and I think that's going to be valuable in the long run, right? To not the short-term players in the game.
Yeah, and just so everybody knows, I did not intend or want to make this about me at all. The topic got brought up the other day about the transaction coordinator, which is a great topic because I'm glad that we re-brought it up, because I was only talking about it in the chat. So I appreciate all of that. And again, I'm not going anywhere. But yeah, I like you said, the amortization schedule, breaking down the underwriting. Like, I want everyone to be as well informed and well rounded as possible. Again, could I teach you how to get a quick check creatively, where you could go source a deal and go lock it up and go, yeah, we could probably figure out a way to do it quick and dirty, and who cares about the outcome as long as you get paid? We can absolutely do that. But yeah, Sam. But I just always, I don't know, that's always been my mentality. Like, even as an investor, like I've said, I used to make Facebook videos, and it was called "So You Want to Be a Landlord, Hey?" And it was just me filming all of my shitty properties that got beat up by tenants, damage, when pipes would burst, all of the bad parts. I rarely ever showed like a good, happy product or like a cash out refinance. It was always that side, because again, everybody else is going to show you the cash out refinance check or all of the other things. You can go elsewhere for that. I want to show you the stuff that no one else is willing to show you, because they're probably trying to sell you something, so they're going to show you all the good stuff. I want to show you what it's really like. 90% of your day is going to be this, and 10% of it is going to be at the closing table or getting that check and things like that. So I always want to show you like the closing table, the daily gains. Like, everybody sees the daily gains channel. That's after the 99% of hard work that you see the check at the end. What took place prior to that nobody else is really talking about, because they're trying to get you to buy, a $10,000 mentorship or whatever the hell it is. And so it's just, I don't know. And I'd like to think that majority of people, again, are the people that are coming in asking for a contract and leaving. I'd like to think that those people aren't really doing deals anyway, so they're not really going to fuck up the business whole in general. But that's always, you see me get fired up, because a lot of the I hate using the word guru, but they make more money now doing that than they do the actual business. So they don't really care what they teach anymore because it's not really affecting them. The more students they get, the more money they make. They're not really in the business anymore, so they're not worried about it. Where with me, you guys are going to be fucking up my business because I'm still doing this. I'm still making my money from doing this. And so if you come in and do it the wrong way, you're only going to affect all of us, including me, because I'm not a guru that's making money, on mentorships. I'm making it doing what I actually talk about on a daily basis. So I'm incentivized to make sure that you're doing it the right way.
Yeah, Matt's still digging for gold. He's not selling shovels, right?
Exactly.
So
even though that's who made the most money during the gold rush.
Exactly, the shovel salesman, right? So it's just one of those things to be cautious about, guys, when you're out there and you're looking for mentorship. If it sounds too good to be true, there's usually a catch somewhere, right? Because I think anyone who's actively working in this space, there's really pretty parts of my job and there's really ugly parts of my job, and it's really easy for me to be like, oh yeah, I love doing big deals and getting big checks. Those are awesome. Those are so awesome. But the work that it takes to get there, man, that is a course in and of itself, right? And so I think realistically, if you guys are out there and you're looking for mentorship, I think the first thing you can do is kind of arm yourself with knowledge. Communities like this are really great because you have people who I have no financial interest in sharing my knowledge with you realistically. I'm just talking about it because I like to talk about real estate. And then the opportunities that we do have to work together, it's a collaborative effort, right? It's not like, hey, here, I'll talk to you for 5 minutes. That's going to be $1,000 and then you're off to the races. It's like, no, I'd want to work the deal with you, right? Like, I feel like there's a lot of JV type things where someone brings in a deal and then, you'll get a cut of that at the end of the day because they helped educate you through the process, right? I think that stuff's invaluable. I think that's probably the way I would do it personally. Obviously, there's courses and stuff you can do to fast track that. I know, but make sure it's full of like knowledge. It's not just the motivational stuff too. There's a lot of that. Like,
just like if you're gonna learn from, like, I don't know, however you want. I don't really care I do care who you learn from because, again, make sure you're doing it the right way. But it's like, do it with somebody that you can relate to in some sort of fashion too, because that'll make you more interested in what they're teaching, and just do a little bit of background check too on these people. Like somehow I'm Facebook friends with this kid who one of his Facebook stories yesterday before was he posted a picture of a check from an assignment and it was like 20 grand, whatever. And then the next story was, want me to teach you how I do this? $500 for a 1 hour call. That's what he was offering. And I was like, who is this? I don't even know how I'm friends with this kid. So I looked on his page. Last year, he was taking photos in a basketball jersey in high school at his mom's house on a white wall. And now all of a sudden, 12 months later, he's selling $500 1 hour phone calls to teach you how to, wholesale real estate. And it's just, again, make sure you're doing due diligence on people. Make sure at least it's somebody that you can relate to in some sort of way, or that they teach in a way that you appreciate. Some people like being told straight up, kind of tough love. They learn best with that. Some people like more hands-on. Some people, just learn from who relates to you the most, and just, again, make sure you're learning from somebody who actually has fucking experience doing this too.
Yeah, I mean, at my last brokerage, I was a mentor to the new agents coming in, right? And so, and it was like the new agents selected their mentor. It wasn't like I was assigned, right? So they would interview me, and I'd just be like, "Look, you're gonna get the most honest truth out of me. This shit's hard. It's not easy. I'm gonna tell you exactly what to do. If you don't fucking do it, I'm not gonna help you out nearly as much as I would if I see you putting in the reps yourself. Like, there's a little bit of give and take here, And the people that said see you later, awesome. The people that stuck with me, they're still in the business. They call me regularly just to keep me up on their wins. I'm not their mentor anymore. They're just stoked to have me around and celebrate something with me. And to this point, Matt, some of them have called me and, like, it's been like 8 months later, right? And they're like, dude, that thing you said, you were so right, like
It's so
really
true.
early on.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. And that is that's more than I could ask for. But like, yeah, find that mentor. I wasn't for everybody. I'm probably not for everybody. I'll tell it like it is, and I don't paint a super pretty picture. Real estate can get weird, nasty, ugly. But my reasoning behind talking about the nitty gritty stuff is because on the off chance, let's say 85% of your transactions go right, but in the off chance that your first transaction is that 15% haywire deal where shit hits the fan, you're relatively prepared to encounter it, at least know how to buy yourself some time to go solve the problem.
And apply that to life, dude. Like my wife has friends, and I probably even have friends too that have had a more protected upbringing, right? They have a more coddled upbringing in terms of they came from, good families and good money, and they never really had to face any type of like adversity in their life. They were always taken care of. Anything that ever happened, they were able to make a phone call, whatever it was, and handle that situation. So never really facing adversity. And then all of a sudden they're adults in their mid 20s, or even 30 years old, and something in life happens. And because they've never had to deal with anything like that prior, all of a sudden it's the end of the world. They have no idea how to handle it. They don't know what route to take. They're just completely lost as a human being because they were never taught those building blocks. They were never, had to deal with that type of scenario and situation. So I think it applies to life as much as it does real estate too. Like you said, learning the nitty gritty, the ins and outs, and like what could happen in a transaction, as
Right.
opposed to only focusing on, what usually happens. Here's what also might happen as well that you should be prepared for in the event. You don't need to be prepared for it in terms of how to fix it or correct it, but at least know how to understand what you're looking at, so that way you know what the next step should be.
Yeah, on my transactions, I would have plan A, which is nothing wrong happens. Plan B, which is I could see this hurdle happening, and plan C, I could also see this hurdle happening, right? And so, rarely does it go beyond C, but that always prepared me, and it prepared me dealing with the other side on transactions too. I would call I'd call the other side of the table up and say, hey, I think we're going to be smooth here, but this is where I could see an issue. Just make sure you have a game plan together for that, right? Like appraisal hurdles are such an easy one to talk about, right? Like, I don't know if we're going to meet this appraisal. I need you to be prepared to have this discussion with your seller. Just know my guy's not going to want to do the whole halvesies thing. He's gonna want to pay value. Just be ready for that conversation if it comes up, and that makes my transactions run that much smoother on stuff. Just because I'm heading it up, and I've got the experience and knowledge behind myself, which you've talked about on the know your shit thing. So I mean, it all comes together full circle, but I do think, for those of you that are new to trying something out, it's awesome to say, yeah, I did this on my own. I did this here and there, and look at me, I did it. But man, the amount of time you're going to spend trying to figure it out on your own, sometimes it's worth it just cutting in someone else on the deal to guide you through it, to make it easy so you can go do it again faster.
It takes a village, dude. They say, but I mean, that phrase has been around for 1,000 years or more, probably way more than that, in terms of like raising a kid. It takes a village. Sometimes it takes a village to close a deal too. Like, you might not know how to handle this angle or this type of transaction, whatever, but as long as you know how to identify it, you've at least know enough of your shit, KYS, to identify it, to know who to bring in and cut them in. I'd rather take 40% instead of 0%, or I'd rather take whatever instead of 0 by bringing in the village that I need in order to close it. Whether that's a transaction coordinator or another partner or a mentor or whoever it is in that scenario.
Yeah, and it took me so long to personally figure it out. When my broker first suggested, hey, when I first started out, my broker was like, hey, I really think you should get a transaction coordinator. I was like, dude, I don't want to pay that. Are you kidding me? And then I got one, and it just allowed me to do so much more business that I liked doing, that I find the most success in so fast. And I took that and I rolled with it on the development stuff I started doing too, right? I used to get in all these arguments with my business partner about how he'd be like, oh no, dude, we need to go do this material delivery ourselves, right? Because we were acting as GCs. I was like, dude, what the hell are we doing driving lumber around for an hour and a half? Like, there's no reason we should be doing it. That is worth paying someone to do. It's going to allow us to build it faster. It's going to allow us to get other things done that we need to get done. And it took him a little bit, but he ultimately was like, dude, you're totally right. We should just pay someone to do this type of stuff. And now we do it, and we're doing more things that we're good at. And we got the experience we needed, and we're moving forward in the direction we want to move in. So yeah, it's all applicable, right? It all translates pretty well. In the places where it doesn't, you have resources like here where you can come up and find someone who knows what they're doing in that space. So no, it's really cool. So I hope the community continues to grow and we get even more knowledge in here, because it's fun. I love talking about it. I always geek out when Matt pulls out the 10B2 calculator, because that's so fun for me. I love talking about that stuff.
Dude, and what's funny is I was not good in school. That's what I'm saying. Like it can be for everybody. You just have to learn it the right way and do it the right way. But like, I'm not good at math. I'm not good at any parts of math, algebra, nothing. But I love real estate to a certain point where like I'm willing to learn certain things that are required of me in order to be good at my job, like the 10B2 calculator. If you would have given that to me however many years ago, I'd be like, dude, no way am I looking at that. You do it for me, or I don't know how to do it. But now it's such an easy thing for me, and it's exciting for me to be able to run those numbers and learn how to do all that stuff. And it helps me in negotiations too, especially with people that don't understand it to a certain level. And I'm able to always poise myself as the professional in those scenarios, because I can run those numbers and show them what those numbers look like, the amortization schedule. We want to talk about interest only. Me and Sam have a deal in Utah right now for a $1.4 million beautiful new construction house, and they're pitching interest only. And so I'm able to go on 10B2, and we're going back and forth on interest only payments. And so it's just an all around thing that's helpful for a lot of things. So I think my last thing is in terms of bringing more people to REI Rev. John, I'm going to be running, I was talking about the other day, I'm going to run a Facebook ad, like I said, where I'm going to green screen myself in front of my website, like scrolling through my website. And it's just going to be like a brand awareness type to draw attention to my website. But I'm also going to mention REI Rev in the Facebook ad, in saying that, like, joining up for my website or whatever it is also includes a free Discord group, REI Rev. And so I'll put some money behind that and see how it works out.
Yeah. I'm glad to see you marketing, Matt. It's overdue.
It's a slow burn for sure.
Yeah,
I'm still not excited about it. I still don't want to do
it. That's how I always feel about bringing new people onto stuff. I'm always like, man, I don't know. But it is cool to see the growth once it actually happens. You have the right people in place and things like that. So it's always fun. And the right people will stick around just by merit and virtue of the business, right? So I think it'll be cool. I think it's funny.
I think it's funny when you see, it's always like one or the other, right? Where it's like you get the people who are barely doing the business, barely have an experience, and they're so upfront about wanting to market themselves and be the guy and be the person and putting themselves out there, and they want to be on the stages talking, and they want all of that without really the experience. And then you got guys with the actual experience who could talk for days and know all the stuff, and they're like, yeah, I don't want to market, I don't want to make videos, I don't want to do any of that stuff. And that's, I think, our boat sometimes. So
yeah, but this is fun because, like, I love answering surface level questions, but I also love it, and this is totally like an invitation in the future, guys, to the audience. Like, I love talking about a complication in a transaction. Like, I love the weird stuff, right? Because like the normal stuff we see a decent amount of time, and I'm happy to help if that's where you're at in your journey. But if you're like hitting some weird snafu in a transaction, please, like, and ask to join the stage and talk about it with us, because it's This is fun. It's fun for us when that stuff is being discussed. You know, we can talk about our businesses and how they're doing this, that, or the other, but you know, we do that a decent amount. I don't know. I personally don't mind talking transactions and uh, interesting strategies and hey, I'm thinking about doing this or that. You know, real estate is a big space, right? You can do the investment part, property management part, um, development. I don't know if I said that already, but there's a lot of things you can do. So yeah, I'd love to see some interest from the audience next time and see what you guys have going on.
Well,
Yeah, I think it's but I'm I agree. Go ahead, John. Close us out.
I appreciate you both, man, and everybody that comes and joins us every single day, and you know whenever they can. This is the #1 most valuable real estate community in existence, and it might not be the most popular one, but you know it's quality over quantity. You know, a lot of time, you know, I think we should definitely have some more people in this audience. I'd love to get some more people in this audience. I'd love to, you know, attract some more power players and bring them up on the stage and, you know, add them to the mix and hear what they have to say. Just because I think it would make it more fun, you know, for everybody up here to hear about people that have been in different spaces in different worlds. You know, everything really changed when Matt got in here and started introducing creative to the conversation, and I'd love for Matt to be able to talk to more people that are doing creative at a high level and chop it up, you know, and hear what they're doing, what Matt's doing, and have that dialogue. Same thing with Paul. You know, I'd love to get some more brokers in here, people that are building stuff and you know, doing things differently. But we can only do that with the help of you all, guys. So please invite somebody you think would benefit from being in proximity with us. Make sure that you're subscribed to us on YouTube. Make sure that you're following us on Instagram. We're going to be chopping these up for reels and putting them out there for you guys to see. It's much, much better than watching, you know, pointless stuff on Instagram. You can keep your mindset focused on real estate. So with that being said, thank you all so much. I appreciate you guys for holding it down. I was definitely late to the call today, but you guys never cease to impress with the amount of time, energy, and love that you guys pour into the community. So I'm grateful for all of you.
Man,
Yes, sir.
That was different than the other ones. I wasn't ready for that one.
Yeah.
He's mixing it up like on SMS campaigns where you have to give like 10 versions of one text message. He's testing out different outro.
I'm about to do a dry run of that here in the next month or two. We're going to see how that goes. I'll let you know when shit hits the fan because it totally will. I've never done that before, so I'm going to go for it.
Epic. All right, ladies and gentlemen.
All right. I have to go make dials, so we'll let you know how it goes.
Let's go. Take care, everybody.
I'll see you later.